And I'm delighted to be joined here in studio by two of the brightest gentlemen one can find, Mr. Avi Poznea, veteran politician, former Israeli ambassador to France and Italy, and our own Owen Alterman, senior I-24 News international affairs correspondent. Owen, let me try with you, and simply put, how would you rate Israel's handling of the crisis?
Well, there was bad and there was good, and I actually think that the good outweighed the bad. Obviously, there's a pandemic that was devastating everywhere around the world, and obviously here too. But if you actually grade how Israel's done compared to other countries, there's bad and there's good. On the bad side, what we saw in 2020 continued into 2021, a confused decision-making process, rules that changed sometimes, it felt arbitrarily all the time, constant fighting about what should be done, a lack of clarity that just sent all of our minds spinning all the time. And also, of course, we should mention on the bad side, the border closures that made Israel unique to places around the world. They've come to a head again over the course of the last month, shutting out Israel's own citizens for the better part of the first quarter of the year, ultimately reversed by the Supreme Court here. One of the only countries in the world to do that. And of course, keeping foreigners out for almost the entire year, that's been controversial. On the good side, of course, the vaccines, where Israel has led the world again with the vaccine drive early in the year, outpacing every other part of the world. The Green Pass, there was an event in Tel Aviv in April, a concert where you took your phone and showed you got vaccinated. It was watched by everyone all over the world. It was the first event of its kind in the world, and Green Passes have become part of the fabric of life in the four corners of the earth. And I think less discussed, but I think maybe even more important for those of us living here, Ellie, this was the year, unlike 2020, when the pandemic didn't cause divides and gaps from within Israeli society, between ultra-Orthodox and others, between Arabs and Jews that we had seen for so much of 2020. For better or worse, it does feel we're all in the same boat, sometimes a confused rocking boat, although a well-vaccinated boat. Again, not only with the vaccine drive, of course, we should also mention the third dose, where Israel also led the world. But it didn't seem to cause the kind of social fissures in Israel's society that did in 2020. We can hope that that continues.
And Avi, looking ahead, what would you say is the most pressing thing? You know, Pfizer Pharmaceuticals says the pandemic is here to stay at least until 2024. What is the most pressing thing for governments around the world to alter? Is it a quicker reaction, less zigzagging? What do they need to do to make the decision-making process better?
You know, Ellie, I will tell you a little anecdote my father used to tell me. He lived through the Spanish flu of 1918 and 1919. And people were, it was much worse than COVID. People were dying like flies. And then after 2 years, it stopped. And I think the same will happen with COVID. I don't know if it will be in 24, in 23, or in 25. I don't have a crystal ball. But I think the same thing will happen. Those things are not here to stay forever. We have to look with hope at the future. And now we can help this hope. We can help the future. I think massive vaccination the world over. Not only in the developed countries, not only in Israel, not only in Europe, not only in America. Everywhere vaccination. Eli, it's by no coincidence that this new variant started in South Africa. Yeah, the rate of vaccination there is very low. I think it is the second variant who started there. There was another one also, not Delta, another one. So the rich countries have to make a big effort to produce vaccine, to give them, not to sell them, to give them to the poor country, have the world vaccinated, and we will get rid of COVID.
Yeah,